So sorry to the anime fans out there.
Yeah, but the image on the bottom looks like Avatar, The Last Airbender.
This one, oh shit, you're right. You're so right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the third episode of Theory Talk. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. We've been experimenting with Midjourney, and we wanted to share our experiments, our explorations. As you probably know, if you're interested in the field of computational design, that Midjourney is pretty big right now, and most of the computational design scene has started exploring Midjourney, DALL-E 2, and other, AI-based design tools. So this is going to be kind of just free. We're just going to be talking about our explorations. Do you have anything to add?
No, I think we should just get right into it.
All right. The examples that we're going to talk about today is this, firstly, this test of designing a bracelet. And then the second one, kind of scenic view, a landscape kind of exploration, where we discuss the differences between stylized and unstylized generations and how we get to this kind of very high resolution landscape image. This kind of conceptual exploration, and finally a more architectural exploration.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess the main point of inquiry is looking to what extent this could become kind of like a creative tool for architects and designers.
Yeah.
And to what extent does it extend like the repertoire of ideas
Exactly.
we can generate within, which is so far at least what we've seen, or at least the entire buzz on the internet is about this stuff is regarding the kind of quick sketch like ideas that you can generate in such a short time, which theoretically can speed up like design processes tremendously.
Yeah. So this first one is a series of bracelets that I tried doing. So here I just wanted to explore, if I wanted to design a bracelet for myself, would it be able to do something like that? And the prompt was bracelet made of stone and wood, brown and red, dark background, photorealistic render, ultra high resolution. These prompts I kind of copied from the prompts that I saw online and other people use. And it gave good results. I kind of liked the first few examples that I got. And in Midjourney, you can choose one of them to make more variations of and to upscale, which means to increase its resolution. So I chose the one on the top right corner, this one, to make different versions of. So then it gave me these, which I find quite cool. In the prompt, I also had the color red. So I think brown and red, stone and wood. So it kind of got the components of it fairly well, that the stone should be red and the wood should be brown, of course. And that's to be expected at this level of AI at this point, I guess, in 2022, but it's still quite impressive. And these are some of the versions that came out of that, which is kind of cool. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
Yeah, what were you testing here? Just seeing how the prompt responds as a first attempt, right?
Yes, but I'm also testing at some point, like, if it's as good as a human, somehow, would it give me something that I would see in the store? Or does it give me something completely different? And is it realistic enough to be in a store? And I think it passes all of those tests.
Yeah. I think conceptually, it should be able to manage this theoretically, because the object itself is not demanding so much invention, because the bracelet, or at least the concept of the bracelet, exists, which means the AI can probably search a lot of examples of bracelets and kind of piece together the custom result, which then you request of it in terms of the details.
Yeah.
I would say, and I guess the point is proved because it seems pretty convincing to me.
Yeah.
It gets the materials down. The wood looks like wood.
Mm-hmm.
The lava rocks, I think, look like lava rocks.
Yeah.
The
Or rubies.
red gems or rubies.
Or you're the stone expert here, so yeah, not...
There's a vanadinite stone there, but
people. It got that right.
Yeah, it looks good. I like it. I would buy it.
Cool. So success with this.
But then, what were you iterating? Like, what's the difference between the iterations?
I didn't change anything here. It's just upscaled. So this is version, make a different version and upscale the different versions. And different versions, that's honing in on this specific design. This last one is a bit different. So this last one is a beta upscale, and this one is the original upscale. So that's why this one looks slightly more stylized, I guess, compared to this one, which looks more realistic. But maybe that's specific thing we can go into in a different video, because I'm not completely sure how the beta version upscale is different from the actual upscale.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one. Here I just wanted to have something cool, like a forest kind of scene. So I thought about Avatar, because Avatar has like really imaginative, creative spaces. So the prompt here is jungle in the style of Avatar, ambient, colorful, diffuse lighting. Yeah, and these are what I got. So, and previously we're having the discussion of how close this is to Avatar. So we were looking at some Avatar jungle images, and I think it's pretty close. And the thing is, in Avatar there's a lake or the sea or whatever, and this is not the the Avatar The Last Airbender. This is Avatar the movie. The second one is coming out soon. And my assumption was that there's more data on Avatar the movie than Avatar The Last Airbender. So sorry to the anime fans out there.
Yeah, but the image on the bottom looks like Avatar The Last Airbender.
This one? Oh shit, you're right. You're so right. That's true, yeah. That's kind of cool, actually. I didn't even notice that. All right.
I mean, I don't know. It looks like neither, to be honest. Like neither, I mean, this, like both at the same time. Like,
but this definitely looks like the Avatar.
It's like Aang, yeah.
I wish I had upscaled this one. I mean, we can do it later. The cool thing is you can just take one of these generations and reuse it. Yeah, okay. Anyway, to keep going, here's some more tests. And then here I upscaled this upper left corner. And I think this looks really cool. Personally.
Yeah. I don't know where it gets the color scheme from, though. The color scheme is not specified by you. You just put colorful.
Yeah. Yeah. Here in the upper generations, I also put some color in the prompt, but here I had no information and just got it. This one I found quite interesting. This is 4 variations of the same image, and there's an object on the left that's quite clear, but it's different in all of the variations. So here it's like a guy, here's a tree, here it's something, and it shows kind of what takes priority, right? You have the composition of the image, but then it's creating variations on that same composition, which means that some of the things which are vaguely defined can switch and change into different things. Yeah, this is also interesting. Playing around with the stylization of it. So this is highly stylized version, and basically it creates kind of cartoony looking illustrations. And here I also gave a color coding. So it was diffuse lighting, purple and green, realistic. But when you write realistic but stylize it, then it can't be realistic.
So it's the same exact prompt, like the jungle one.
Same exact prompt.
It's weird because it looks like in the previous one, the non-stylized version at least, it looks like it's trying to render a landscape. But in the other one, it doesn't look like a landscape. It just looks like a zoom in on a bunch of plants.
Yeah. Which means it's also changing like what kind of image you get.
Different, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
As in, I wouldn't expect it to give you the same image like the previous one, obviously, but I don't know how it comes up with this just because you change the style. I
want to say that there's probably more stylized images with this kind of close-up subject, but at the same time you can also find a lot of stylized landscape images probably. But this kind of image is so common on the internet, you know, or at least it was in the early days. Like it reminds me of this word art kind of style. Not word art, but you know, like I guess PowerPoint in the early days had this kind of, you know, this kind of image has been around forever.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, clearly the change in the filter seems to have shifted out some images which it would normally use from the equation, or somehow it's refocused it differently on this.
Okay, so here I went the opposite direction, so the lowest stylization possible, and ideally it gives a more realistic image. And this is really, I mean, it looks really good. It's quite impressive.
Yeah.
All right. The next one I want to talk about is this one. So this prompt: map with streets morphing into a human, black and white, high contrast, digital art, faint text. I wasn't looking for something specific, but you know, some digital art, something more conceptual was the goal. These are the first 4 images I got. And the top right corner is really cool. These ones are not really a map morphing into a human. It's kind of a misunderstanding what I want, and I could technically play around with the prompt until I got something more into this. I kind of imagined like a map, but the streets forming into a human, something like this, except more map-like with something like this at the bottom, you know?
Yeah.
Either way, I like the top image, so made some variations on it. And then this one that looked most like a human, I took that and I upscaled it up here. And it's kind of cool, somewhat resembling a human, but a bunch of more noses and mouths. And kind of like an afro here. kind of like I can imagine this being a human. Other stuff that I got by accident on the side is also really cool. Like this one, it's almost like an album cover where there's like a map. It's like this person's thoughts somehow.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool actually. I like
it. The road down here looks super cool as well.
I also like the second one on the left, the bottom left.
This one?
That one, yeah. Somehow the human figure is the same.
Yeah.
But then it's scaled differently.
And it's so cool, right? Like just a simple prompt, you don't know what to expect, and you get something which is really imaginative somehow, and it's making us think about what it is.
I mean, it's interesting because in all your examples so far, you've kind of been letting the AI drive the design.
Yeah.
Another approach could be to keep iterating and changing the prompt until you kind of get something more along the lines of what you want. Even though that's like a bit more of like a hybrid approach where it's like top down and bottom up, because you give it something and it pushes back, and then you kind of need to react to that, and it reacts back to what you're saying. And then the end result, which you'll probably be happy with, is not something you would have expected anyway. You would have had like more agency into it. Here, we're kind of using it more loosely, it seems.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I mean, here, this kind of map morphing into like a human figure was kind of what I wanted. And yet I didn't do what you said. I didn't keep iterating until I got what I wanted.
Yeah, but I mean,
perhaps
it's fine too. It just gives more power, I think, to the AI in this case, which kind of drives you into a new world of surprise, like, because you don't really know what you're getting. You might just like something, you might not. So you either drop it or you keep then kind of going through it.
Perhaps you could also change the prompt a little bit to get. I mean, this is a nice prompt, like a nice base prompt, but you can also say like something like no perspective or 2D to make sure that you actually get the map instead of this kind of street view thing. Okay, final example. The prompt is intricate, peaceful structure made out of curtains. I forgot the off, but whatever. Structural stability, resting space, beautiful lighting, calm. And here I think what's interesting is structure. The word structure and structural stability is used along with curtains. And it's kind of intentional to see how curtains could be structurally stable and to see what it gives. Some of these examples are almost using the curtains as columns, and then some of them, there are columns which are not curtains. So I think I like this one and this one, so I upscaled those, or I made variations of those. Got these ones. I think it's also getting the peaceful room, beautiful lighting quite well. And then this one is kind of an upscaled version of it.
I mean, these are really interesting because it really shows you like the blend space between like the curtain, non-structural, with the column, which is structural.
Yeah.
And when you look at the image, you really don't know what kind of, it really does mix it up in terms of like what's the curtain kind of transforming into this kind of web vault. I mean, and this is not to say anything about the atmosphere, which is coming from the resting space, I guess. Like this warm light, very soothing.
Yeah.
But I think that's more kind of almost objective. It's more visually what the curtain is doing with the structure. That's quite interesting. It's pretty cool. Might be interesting to make a series of similar, like instead of curtains, I don't know, forks turning into columns, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's even cooler because forks you don't see. Curtains are always in
it's putting something unexpected into that situation.
Yeah. Here is again a test with stylization, although here, you know, it's just, as you mentioned last time, it's changing the subject as well completely. So just because it's stylized, suddenly there's a lake and there's the curtains become the sky and that kind of thing. So it's a bit of a different thing. Here's a different idea this time, or a different version. This on the bottom right is really column-like curtains. Yeah, and this on the bottom left looks the best, in my opinion.
You had another image like that, similar. The one on the leftmost.
Yeah. So this one is the same as this one, but upscaled.
It looks like some Lord of the Rings elf territory.
And I mean, the lighting is just so beautiful on this.
So good.
It's really getting everything. This one also, yeah.
But this too is kind of interesting. Like if you zoom in again on the bottom half. I mean, if those red dots are people,
Which red dot?
there's like 3 red dots kind of there. That looks like a door to me, and there's like 4 people there standing at the door.
Oh, wow.
And then it completely changes the scale because
Yeah,
the curtains and the columns look insane, like some kind of Sagrada Familia style.
yeah. Yeah, I thought that was just like some table kind of thing.
I mean,
but that's because I'm misled by the scale of the curtains.
I mean, but this is also a good point. Like, to some extent, the abstraction of the photos or the images, like the fact that you don't really fully know what you're looking at,
yeah,
also makes it interesting, because then I can play with the scale. Like, probably if you crop this in some interesting way, you can define a bit more clearly, for example, the scale, or even simply photoshopping those people afterwards, like making those people. And then kind of you throw in a bit of human intentionality into this thing. Is that even a word? Human intention into this thing. Intentionality.
One of the things that we were talking about earlier is that these images, AI generated images, are becoming very common these days. I mean, all the architects are doing this. And you can really understand if an image has been made by an AI now. Something about the style of it gives it away, which is quite interesting. It has its own style almost that's always there.
It might have to do with the fact that I think the developers themselves also admitted to the fact that originally Midjourney was designed for the art community, so it takes so many images, I think, from DeviantArt and all these like creative platforms where people are throwing in their artworks. So probably the style is almost like a mishmash of all the hand strokes related to, for example, the different works that they do, both digital on Photoshop or even by hand. I don't know, this is just my guess.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I mean, this is really similar to stuff that you would find on DeviantArt.